why why are the European transatlanticists so afraid of giving peace a chance here? What are they so afraid of? What are the stakes for them? Because you would think that if relations were a little bit more normal with Russia, Germany's economy would be more powerful. The rest of the Western European economies would be a little more stable. The grain would flow, energy prices would go down. What are they so afraid of? And what are the Democrats so afraid of here? Why is Bernie Sanders so afraid of peace here? He denounced peace.
Well, Bernie, I just think is a dupe and just has abandoned his critical thinking skills and has maybe subconsciously internalized, like done a cost benefit calculation that if he were to advocate peace, it wouldn't be worth it to him because he'd be marginalized even more and wouldn't have a voice. He wouldn't have the little platform he has. I don't know. I don't know. We have a really powerful propaganda system that works really well. I mean, just look at how everybody, with some exceptions, was just in lockstep with this proxy war from the start. And everyone forgot all the context that you need to understand the Ukraine conflict, and that they used to talk about. Bernie used to criticize NATO expansion and then pretty much forgot about it. You know, Democracy Now! Used to cover things like the coup in 2014. They used to have on guests like Stephen F. Cohen. Everyone just forgot about it because that's how our propaganda system works. It incentivizes conformity and it punishes critical thinking. And everyone went along with it. As for Europe, I don't know. You have a better handle on that than me. I mean, to what extent was there some outright corruption, coercion going on? Why would Olaf Scholz go along with the demolition of his country, sit there and let Joe Biden brag about how he's going to stop the Nord Stream pipeline and then go ahead and do exactly that? Unless he was coerced in some way, bought off, intimidated. I don't know.
Well, the issue of why the British are so fanatical about this proxy war, I think, differs from the rest of Europe. But overall, the kind of transatlantic pro-NATO faction in Europe will completely lose credibility if they lose and there's a negotiation here. And the populist right, since the populist left has been killed by the pro-NATO faction over the past decades, will gain power and gain steam and will gain credibility. That's one principal fear. The domestic reaction will be strong. They'll have to take in more Ukrainian migrants after denying Ukraine EU membership. Russia may seek the over $350 billion of assets stolen from it and stolen from its own citizens by Europe, just basically pillaged and given to Ukraine. It could seek it through legal action. And NATO will have been stymied. So, and then it goes back to the issue of sovereignty. European countries will seek sovereignty instead of depending on the protective umbrella of NATO, which has been exposed fully by the Trump administration as nothing more than a cat's paw for American hard power and a cipher for for defense industry profits. And then there's the gravy train. The gravy train will dry up. Where will it go next? Afghanistan was a major gravy train, a major money laundering operation. Money went through Afghanistan. It didn't stay there. It went back to the arms industry, went back to tech contractors. Same thing was happening in Ukraine. That comes to an end. A lot of transatlantic elites will be hurt by that. So I'm just hitting on a few reasons, but I think this is one of the key questions is what are they so afraid of? And then there's the hysterical ideological perspective of Democrats that Putin actually wants to take over the world and create this authoritarian, ultra-conservative, Christian, Orthodox, global patriarchate and ban gay pride parades and things like that. And you know, he'll collaborate with Trump to take over the world and maybe divide it up with China. That's their fear. And beyond that, the real fear of a multipolar world. So this is such a decisive moment.
This also explains why they sabotaged Jeremy Corbyn, because Jeremy Corbyn's like the one prominent member of the left in the West, in NATO land, who didn't fall for all this. he was always against this proxy war. He's always in favor of diplomacy. He didn't buy into all this Russia fear mongering, and therefore he had to be eliminated. And he was, and that was our last chance for a populist leftist alternative to all this, all that we're seeing now, where basically the choice is between like neocon centrists and then, you know, people on the far right who demonize immigrants for all society's problems. And we had a genuine alternative to all of that, Jeremy Corbyn, who was sabotaged.
Yeah, Mike Pompeo promised to sabotage him if he came into power, publicly promised to sabotage him as CIA director. I mean, and this is part of what JD Vance was talking about at the Munich Security Conference when he condemned the European firewall. And a lot of people weren't listening. He said against right-wing populists and left-wing populists. And he was referring also to Jeremy Corbyn and Sarah Wagenknecht. This is the EU.
I didn't know that.
The EU has a firewall against any anti-war leftist, any leftist who does not support Israel, does not swear loyalty to Israel and the transatlantic project. And Western intelligence, the Five Eyes, will collaborate to destroy them, as we saw with Jeremy Corbyn.